God's word this morning. Just a few minutes. Let's pray. Lord, in your word it says there's a time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. Lord, we just ask that you would help us to continue remembering Nina, and help us to hold grief in one hand and great hope in the other. As we look at your word, in Jesus' name, amen. I'm Ray Palumbo. I'm the favorite nephew of Nina. My earliest memories of Nina was being introduced as, "Oh, this is your Nina." You know, okay? All right, what does that mean? I guess it's like a godmother kind of title. Honestly, Nina Rowley kind of scared me a little bit as a little kid. And I was telling that to Kui John earlier this week. He's like, "Why?" And I don't know, because he was like so big and imposing, and I was very small. I mean, now I guess he's 5'7", 6 and a half. Okay, wow, those count. And I was small, and he was very very engaging, and so and his voice boomed a little bit. So I was kind of scared of Nina Rowley at first. Then he started drawing pictures for us and stuff, and he was all right. But Nina was the opposite. Nina was the complete opposite. She was a very gentle soul, a very kind, sweet, soft-spoken kind of woman. She was very much a model of a kind woman to me, I remember when they visited us in Hawaii when we were little, just immediately, I think maybe because she was my Nina, immediately, "Oh, what toy do you want?" And we're like in the Navy exchange, and I'm like, What do you mean, what toy do I want? So we grew up on a Navy, salary, and we got nothing, man. McDonald's was like a super special occasion,
Yeah.
And coupons was our world. And so McDonald's was special, nothing. We never ate out. Nina was like, "What do you want?" We're in the toy section. I'm like, "Really?" And so it was okay with Mom and Dad. So I got my first G.I. Joe from Nina. Big kind, not the small kind, the big kind. It was the I didn't know what I was doing. It was the high voltage G.I. Joe. Who buys the high voltage G.I. Joe where he works on power lines? Anyway, she goes, "You got it." I'm like, "Whoa." And then every time we would eat out, she would want to pay. And I'm like, "Man, these people rich?" No, they were just super generous. They were rich in generosity. That's what Nina was, super rich in generosity. And then she had a great sense of humor, and we talked about that last night as well. Often with a musical twist, right? So my favorite would be when she wanted to watch the classic movie, The Sound of Buisit. You all know that one, right? Or when my dad turned 76 years old, he didn't just turn 76, according to Nina, he turned 76 trombones. Musical Man reference, for those of you who didn't know. And then don't forget, we call each other with a whistle and a ring. We call each other with a whistle, classical musical whistle. So, anyway, as everyone will say, she's very very hospitable. She would always have us over. Anytime, she would just be willing to give, open her home. Over the years, her house became a hangout. At one point, it was a musical studio where songs were recorded. At another point, and this is towards the 70s, it was a dance studio. Take that to the bank. Remember, we did a routine to that one in Pelham Boulevard. Remember that? You led that. You came up with the choreography, man. And then, in the 80s, with the coming of video recorders, it became a movie studio. Right? And then the hospitality of that woman brought all the siblings, all the cousins close together, so close, from Clark to Callan to Fairfield. We got so close that a name was created to combine our families. palace. Polanco assertion. Palace. I mean, we were like brothers and sisters, all of us. And we still are. And she constantly, of course, fed us. Her cream of dried beef is legendary, right? And she was always so willing to pay. Our money was never any good when we went out to eat, right? One time, Liriel tells this story of when we drove up into the In-N-Out drive-thru. We were there last night, in fact. We were in that In-N-Out drive-thru last night. And I'm like ready to pay, and she goes, no! And that's the only time you see her get mad is when you're trying to pay. And she gets all of a sudden fierce, and then she's like, here, take this money. And I'm like, no, take this back. And Lear was like cracking up because like the money was flying in the van. The money's flying back and forth. All right. So what lesson can we learn from Nina? I mean, what is she telling us right now? What is she teaching us right now? Well, the human heart is a sucker for new beginnings, isn't it? The human heart is always looking for a better tomorrow, a new year, a new city to live in, a new house. There's always going to be some kind of better tomorrow, a new job. It's going to bring the life we wanted to live, right? A new romance, a new marriage brings the promise of living happily ever after. That's just how we're made. We're created to look forward to a better tomorrow. We hope and we long for it. It's the very essence of us. But the reality is we're constantly met with disappointment. Constantly. It's a bad end at worst and a mixed bag maybe at best. There can be a temporary happiness. It may last a little while. But there's always sorrow around the corner. That's just the world we live in. Jobs are lost. Marriages have constant fights or end altogether. And health. As you know, especially if you're getting to be like my age, you know health declines every year. Something is lost. Never used to have to wear these. And with everything on earth, everything, not just our own lives, but with everything, the luster is lost. Why is that? Why? Well, the Bible has an explanation for this. The Bible tells us from the very first day of God's creation, from the very first week of his creation, sin entered the world through his first man's disobedience to his Creator. Sin entered the world, and it spread like a spiritual infection. It spread like a contagion throughout nature, to every man born after and every woman born after. Not just a spiritual contagion, but a physical one. You know, the world was not supposed to lose leaves off the tree or have earthquakes that devastate. It wasn't supposed to be like this. And this is why there's evil in the world, and sickness in the world, and corruption, and immorality, and death. 3 little words, sin, 3 little letters, sin. Sin is the reason that there's cancer and diabetes and hospitals and homelessness and school shootings and divorce and funerals. Because of sin. And this is not the way it was meant to be. It was not meant to be this way. We weren't supposed to hate. We weren't supposed to fight. We weren't supposed to have pain and get sick and die. And that's why we hurt, and we get angry, and we grieve, because we were made for something better, and we're not seeing it. This is what God tells us in his word. Romans 8:22, he says, "And all creation, not just you and me, but all of creation groans, looking for something better, groans under sin, wanting a better tomorrow." The whole creation does that, not just you. We were created for something more. Well, sin did one more thing, by the way. Sin also required a penalty for itself. A perfect, sinless, holy God, a perfect creator, was not going to stand idly by as crime is committed against him by his creation. When we ignore God, when we don't think of him and don't want him, don't live for him, that's a crime, a high crime, to a perfect holy God. You may not see it that way. That's how God sees it. And if he did not require a penalty for that, that would cause a collapse of his integrity. That would cause a collapse of his sense of justice. You see, he can't just sweep things under the rug. God can't. See, and our crime, as I said, is against a perfect, holy God. And the punishment must fit the crime. And the punishment is death. Sin is why we die, and for our sin we must die. This according to God. And this death is not just physical, but it's spiritual and it's eternal. This eternal death is a forever separation from God's goodness and God's better tomorrows. Our soul's longing for something better. But you know, God didn't just leave us there. God is the author and the finisher of the better tomorrow. He came to our rescue. God came to our rescue. He came to call us back to himself. And how did he do that? He sent his son, Jesus Christ, to fulfill all that Adam messed up. Adam messed up. First week, Adam messed up. But Jesus came and lived a perfect life, fulfilling what Adam messed up and beyond that. Jesus was perfect, lived perfectly. Then he died. He died as a perfect substitute for us so that we wouldn't have to die. He died as a perfect sacrifice, took our punishment and our crime on the cross, and God's penalty, his wrath, poured out on Jesus, and he absorbed it all. Pleasing God perfectly as our substitute. Isn't that amazing? Then he came back to life. Then he came back to life to prove what he did was real. To prove, he didn't just say, I'm going to pay for your sins and die on the cross. I mean, anybody can do that. He came back from the dead saying, done. I did it. So what's our response to this?